So what I'm studying is storytelling as a performance art in school settings. I very often when I say I study storytelling, people think that I'm studying writing of stories or the narrative, person's personal narratives or things like that. But I do actually study professional storytellers that come to a school and tell stories. I have 3 different cases in my study. So I'm talking about one of the cases here, which is in 9th grade, who actually, they have had storytellers coming regularly since they started school when they were 6. We started school at 6 in university in Norway. And so they are very familiar with the form of oral storytelling. And then by the age of 14, 15 now, this last February, they had a course where professional storytellers came to their schools, storytellers that I already know, and they had a course with them where they also tried out the personal narrative by telling stories from their own life. They had 3 days of intensive course, which ended by all the students on stage one by one telling stories from their own lives. The thing about storytelling is that you are free of a manuscript. Like, I should really have been without the manuscript doing this presentation because I write about storytelling. And so the storyteller is free to communicate with the listeners, and I think that opens for a good way of having a dialogue with the listeners. The storyteller can listen to the listeners and to his or her own story. And for instance, in this case where you have children with different cultural background, different language background, it's easy for the storyteller to catch when the children don't understand, and can easily show with body language or some extra words, the words that are difficult. So I had mainly thought of focusing on oral skills. That comes from the fact that in our current curricula in Norway, we have 5 main or basic skills that is supposed to be trained in all subjects, and one of these is oral skills, and it's quite new to focus that much on oral skills, and it's the one among the 5 that is the least researched. And I think when you have professional storytellers coming and doing the oral storytelling and telling stories is part of what is defined as oral skill, it also makes sense to think that there might be a connection between the habit of listening and the students' abilities. Also, especially since they, in this incident, were trained to do the storytelling. So that was my main focus first, but then when I came to this course, I realized that they do focus a lot on personal stories, and some of them was very huge variety on the themes they had. Everything from I fell and break an arm because my mother didn't look after me when I was a child to I had to flee from war and I lost my brother. So I think telling some of those most touching and gripping stories and to peers, especially to peers maybe, but also to the parents and the teachers, and to take these stories from the others. I think it does something to the learning environment, but also then to how they build their own learning identity. So therefore I added another research question about what storytelling can do to young people's learning identity. And now I'm talking myself way away from this manuscript, or whatever I should call it. Anyway, since I've already pointed out that that this is a form that opens for dialogue, it's very natural for me to draw upon dialogical literature and, for instance, Bakhtin and all people coming after in his tradition. And also Jerome Bruner is a natural theorist for me to draw upon, since everything he has done is practically about stories in different ways. You understand the world in stories, you understand yourself in stories, and make meaning of everything. Also try to find some literature on orality. We have a professor in University of Oslo who has done some research, and she's called Hertzberg, mentioned there. And of course Ung, and also I got tips on one, Olsen, that I have to look into about orality versus literacy. I have come across 2 other big projects about storytelling in school. One in Germany, a professor called Kristin Aadland, who together with, I don't remember the first name, but Weigert, Susanne Weigert maybe, did a large study in Berlin. They had actually professional storytellers for 2 years, twice a week, in the same group of young students, and did quite enormous research on that, and found very good results, for instance, on the language development of the same kind of multicultural children. And Johanna Koivenhoven in Canada, professional storyteller who also and professor who studied another storyteller slash teacher, or she is a teacher but have the background as a storyteller. And she studied especially the literacy, how the stories influence on the writing abilities. But if anyone has heard of any more studies in their countries, I'm very eager to know about that afterwards. So what I did on this particular case was that I was there all 3 days that this course lasted. I did video recordings on most of the tasks they got. They had tasks in groups, individually, but also some plenary things that were a bit difficult to capture in video. I have then, and also, yes, I recorded the dress rehearsals and the performance themselves. So I interviewed 3 boys and 3 girls out of the students, and I interviewed 1 teacher and waiting for an I was supposed to interview the other teacher as well, but she forgot, so she went to a museum with her class, so I have to make a new appointment when I come back. And I also have some agreements with the storytellers, but haven't yet been able to do the interviews. So what I will try to do, as you can understand, I have not really started my analysis. But what I wanted to do is to look upon how the young people, how they reflect on their performance, their oral presentation, but also how they think about what they learn in the situations of storytelling, etc. And also how the teachers reflect upon this, and then how the dress rehearsal and the performance, the recordings, how they show up, how they reflect what the students think they managed to do in the situation. Because, for instance, I asked them, did you manage to do what they had some individual sessions where storytellers gave them things to work with and advices on how to perform, and did you actually remember these things, and did you manage to do what you were supposed to on stage, and then see if that is reflected in their actual performance. Yes, I have some, since I haven't any analysis yet, I just quoted some of the students to give an idea of the kind of answers they've given. So one of the girls said, without knowing it, we got to know each other a lot more. And another girl said, I felt proud afterwards. And a boy said, you can learn better Norwegian from stories. And the same boy, I've become more conscious about how people use their body when talking. And I think that says something, at least, about the oral ability and how you support the performance by your body. Yeah. And also a good listener becomes a better writer, which is literacy. It's not planned to be my main focus, but it could well be, because they also talk about writing, and as I said in the beginning, storytelling is also writing. It's just in my case mainly oral. So in general, they talk about, when it comes to oral skills, how you can, from telling stories or listening stories, become a better listener, to better understand what is told or said in situations, and to focus when you are in the role of a listener. And I talk a lot about storytellers being devoted and enthusiastic when telling, presenting, or performing, how they express this through voice and through body language, and that storytelling helps them, or storytellers are good in clarifying their message. It's easy to understand. And they say that they have learned something about building up a story, and they think that they can transfer these techniques to other kind of oral presentations. And they're talking about oral exams, and also when I become a university student, I can use what I learned now. And then when it comes to learning, they're talking about they see the need of being prepared. They see that preparation is hard work, but it's fun. It comes to learning environment, as I said, they say they got to know each other better by sharing stories, and they learned to support each other. And I also have seen a clip that, because this course was videotaped by a professional, because this project was funded by the state, they needed some kind of a documentation, so there was another guy also filming, and he did an interview part for me, and I saw this, and one of the boys there says, "You helped us unfold our stories," which I also think was very nice. I think I'll stop there because I saw some notes. Yeah.
You're still within time, so
yep.
if you're done, you can use that time for discussion.
Yes. So since I'm not really started my analysis, of course, I'm very interested in ideas on how to move on the analysis, how to do my further work, really. Because I have a lot of material and it's a bit confusing, and I have a lot of film and a lot of interviews, and how to move on here. And also really practical. I know I should have been to a session yesterday, workshop, but there was another girl talking about stories, so I had to go to that one. But programs for video analyzing as well, if anyone have any advices. Yeah, thanks.